Tim Pool and Chloe Carmichael claim that therapy is bad. Before we get into it, my name is Casey. I'm a husband, father, a therapist of more than a decade, and a concerned conservative man. I started this channel with the interest of building a future of faith, fatherhood, and freedom. If you can get behind that, please like on the way in. I'd love to earn your subscription.
Maybe you're right. Maybe men don't need therapy. And frankly, maybe women and children don't really need it either, the way that it's being practiced today.
Chloe Carmichael is a former therapist and an author, and Tim Pool is, of course, Tim Pool, and they make the claim that perhaps therapy isn't for anyone.
Now, for example, whether it be other fields like, cardiology or, neonatology or, medicine, we've come up with penicillin, we've had open heart surgery. All the other fields have had all these amazing breakthroughs and discoveries, whereas psychologists and psychiatry doesn't honestly really seem to be coming up with anything.
The main ideological advancement in my field over the last decade has been trans ideology, and that has been part of the reason why I've become so ashamed of my industry, as well as going back to school to try to fight for what is good, true, and beautiful.
A lot of therapists, it's kind of a generic term, a lot of them are, to be honest, not that bright. A lot of them, a lot of them have gone through really nothing but a certificate program that puts just a bunch of fancy letters after their name. The average member of the public doesn't even know, what is a quote therapist? They just have this idea in their mind, that's a doctor and that's an expert.
Chloe Carmichael makes a claim that the people in my industry are quite frankly not that bright, and that actually has some bearing in the numbers. People who are graduating from higher education with a social work degree are some of the lowest IQ individuals who are attending higher education, and social work degree holders are probably the majority of therapists in the country. It is pretty low-hanging fruit, and it's pretty easy to get. Simply a bachelor's in a very generic field of study that gives you an extremely wide berth about what you can do once you enter into the field. That might include advocacy work, activism, all the way towards ministry work, and in fact, therapy.
I've been watching the testimony, and honestly, the so-called healthcare providers that are testifying to me are just evidence of why, just as a public service announcement to people watching, people need to be really careful about just trusting, these so-called providers.
Chloe Carmichael then makes a case that therapy can help some people, but that it has taken an extreme left turn. And looking into the numbers most recently, there's been survey data that says that social work bachelor's degree social work holders actually graduating college right now are 86% represented non-conservative, and actually the conservative percentage was only in the 4 to 5% range because the other ones were claiming to be political moderates. And this is part of the problem with therapists in general, is that the philosophy by which you are trying to help your clients endure suffering matters extremely forthrightly in the therapeutic relationship. If you don't have a philosophy that generates the ability and the resilience necessary to endure evil and to endure suffering on this earth, you likely will not have a successful client relationship. You will not likely help them achieve the outcomes that would be best for them, which ultimately is it's a black eye to the philosophy which generates most therapeutic regimen, which is Freudian, Hegelian, leftist, Marxist ideology, which just simply will not lead to flourishing.
Again, I don't want to be black and white about this. I think therapy can help some people, and it helped me, right? So as a teenager and as a young person, I've been to therapy and I have found it helpful. But I feel like the industry has maybe taken a left turn, literally and figuratively. In fact, 90 to 95% of therapists identify as leftists, which is another. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, even the rudimentary element of therapy, right? Just talking to people, it's probably fine. So something that what I largely don't like about it is just sort of affirming the problem.
This duo is right that it is easier just to simply validate clients when they come through, and that has been another one of the most recent marks of what's been discovered in therapy, is that we should just simply affirm and validate everything that comes through the door.
Terrified to challenge the patient because it's easier to validate. I can't tell you how many times I've had people tell me that their therapist literally fell asleep during, I'm serious. Coleman Hughes has described this happening to him. Many
He goes
people.
to therapy?
No, he doesn't anymore, but he has shared on the
He was
air
like, "Hey, wait a
about
minute."
past experiences. And when I was practicing therapy, my practice was unique actually in that it was about 50% men in New York.
Tim Pool then goes on to say that most validation is psychotic, and he gives a perfect example about how the therapy industry is quite clearly hurting people, quite literally doing harm to the people who come through the door.
Believe in you, someone being like, actually, if you're making money and it's making you happy, this might be the right choice for you. Validation can be good. The problem I see is most of the validation that we've been getting has been psychotic. Dude walks in and he's like, you know what? I want to chop off my ding dong. And they're like, you're right.
Chloe Carmichael goes on to describe a situation where she couldn't find someone as a clinician that would talk to a young person and try to teach them how to overcome their desire to transition, and that all of the people she called would in fact have to just go with what the narrative is, which is that you should just affirm, affirm, affirm. And for anyone that's in that situation and want to provide some education, there is a group called the Conscious Clinician Collective, of which I am a part, that has a map and a geographical location of all the people, whether it's from medicine all the way down to therapy, that go away from the trans ideology and will not affirm. Now, in my practice today, I can simply just decline to take those kinds of patients because I don't believe that I will be able to guide them in the way that they want to go. And that doesn't mean that I couldn't help them, but it does ultimately mean that they won't appreciate what I am attempting to help them do. And so in that way, the therapy industry rolls on toward oblivion, sending people over the edge into worsening symptoms and more insanity. In closing, is therapy completely unhelpful? No. I definitely believe that I am still helping people. That's part of the reason why I persist. But is therapy the way that it is currently taught, and the people who are currently graduating into this system, are they prepared to give you the best possible way to build a life that is good, true, and beautiful? No, they are not. And that's part of the reason this channel exists. If you can help me flex the muscles of truth as it comes from even a therapist, I would love your support in doing so. Thank you for watching.